3 years ago, I had everything: a beautiful wife, a brilliant career, a daughter who looked at me like I could do anything. Then one night, in 3 seconds, I lost it all. Not because I wasn't smart enough, not because I didn't work hard enough, but because I made one decision: to get behind the wheel that night. After the accident, I became a janitor. And for 3 years I convinced myself I was doing the right thing, until the night I walked into a conference room and saw a problem that was about to destroy a company. A problem I could solve in 30 seconds. And I had to choose: stay silent and let 50 families lose everything, or speak up and risk being responsible again. Before we dive in, have you ever walked away from something you were great at because you were afraid? Or watched someone waste their potential because of fear? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love stories about second chances and finding courage when it matters most, please subscribe so you don't miss our next one. I pushed my cleaning cart through the 7th floor of NovaCore Solutions, my footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. Most people were gone by now. The building was quiet except for the hum of computers and the occasional muffled voice from someone working late. This was my world. The night shift. 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. 5 days a week. It wasn't glamorous, but it was safe, and it let me be there for Brittany. I'd get home at 6:30 a.m., just as she was waking up. I'd make her breakfast, walk her to the bus stop, watch her climb aboard with her pink backpack that was almost as big as she was. Then I'd sleep until 2 p.m., pick her up from school at 3, help with homework, make dinner, and tuck her into bed at 8. Then I'd head back here. It was a rhythm, a routine, and routines were safe. I stopped outside conference room 3. The door was open. The lights were on. I knocked lightly and stepped inside. The room was a disaster: empty coffee cups, pizza boxes, energy drink cans scattered across the table, and the whiteboard, the massive whiteboard that covered the entire back wall, was covered in code. Lines and lines of it, in multiple colors, with sections circled, crossed out, rewritten, error logs taped to the edges, diagrams showing system architecture, desperate attempts to trace a bug that clearly had everyone stumped. I'd seen this room every night for the past 3 nights, and every night the whiteboard got more chaotic. I started collecting trash, stacking pizza boxes, wiping down the table. But my eyes kept drifting back to the whiteboard. I recognized the code. It was handling some kind of high-volume transaction system, and there, in the middle of it all, I saw the problem. A race condition. 2 threads trying to access the same resource simultaneously without proper locking. One would succeed. One would fail. And because the error handling was malformed, the failure was cascading through the entire system. The fix was simple. 4 lines of code. Add a mutex lock, ensure atomic access, release the lock when done, 30 seconds of work. Maybe less. I stared at the whiteboard, my hands holding a trash bag full of pizza boxes. I could fix this. Right now. I could write the solution. Leave it on the board, and tomorrow morning someone would see it and... No. I turned away, finished cleaning, pushed my cart back into the hallway. It wasn't my job. I was the janitor. I cleaned floors. I didn't write code, not anymore. I didn't think about the accident every day anymore, but I thought about it most days. It was a Tuesday. October 15th, 7:47 p.m. I was driving home from Brittany's school play. She'd been a tree in the 2nd grade production of The Giving Tree. Georgia sat next to me, laughing about how seriously Brittany had taken the role. She didn't move for 20 minutes, Sam. Not once. That's commitment. Brittany was in the back seat, still wearing her brown construction paper costume, chattering about how next year she wanted to be the lead. I was happy. Tired from a long day of debugging a client's infrastructure, but happy. We were a family. We were whole. Then I saw the headlights. I don't remember much after that. Just sounds. Metal. Glass. Georgia screaming my name. Then silence. I woke up in the hospital 3 days later. Severe concussion. Fractured ribs. lacerations. Brittany was fine, not a scratch. The car seat had done its job, but Georgia, the other driver, had run a red light, drunk, going 70 in a 35 zone, T-boned us on the passenger side. Georgia died on impact. The doctors said there was nothing anyone could have done. The impact was too severe, the angle too direct. But I was driving. I should have seen him coming, should have reacted faster, should have done something. I didn't go back to work for 6 months. When I finally did, I lasted 2 weeks. Every line of code I wrote felt like life or death. Every decision felt like I was gambling with someone's safety. What if my code failed? What if a bug I missed caused a system to crash? What if someone got hurt because I made the wrong call? I couldn't do it. I couldn't carry that responsibility. So I quit. And I found a job where nobody's life depended on me. Back to present, I was emptying trash bins on the 5th floor when I heard voices. Raised. Frustrated. I glanced toward the open door of the large conference room at the end of the hall. The war room, people called it, where the executive team met during crises. Tonight it was full. I could see at least 30 people inside. Engineers, mostly. Hunched over laptops, gathered around monitors, some sitting on the floor with tablets, pizza boxes and coffee cups everywhere. At the center of it, all stood a woman I recognized. Camilla Ferguson, CEO and founder of NovaCore Solutions, 45 years old, self-made billionaire, known for being brilliant, demanding, and utterly unforgiving of failure. I'd seen her exactly twice in the 3 years I'd worked here, both times from a distance. She didn't notice people like me. Tonight, she looked furious. "I don't care how tired you are," she was saying, her voice cutting through the room. "I don't care that you've been here for 3 days. We have 8 hours. 8. If we don't fix this by 8 a.m., we lose the titanium contract. Do you understand what that means?" Silence. "It means $100 million in revenue. Gone. It means layoffs. It means this company's reputation is destroyed. It means we're done." I kept moving, pushed my cart past the door. Tried not to listen, but I heard anyway. "We've tried everything," someone said, a man's voice, exhausted. "We've traced every function, checked every API call, rebuilt the entire processing pipeline. The bug is still there. We can't find it." "Then find it harder," Camilla snapped. I turned the corner, out of sight. But I could still hear her voice echoing down the hallway. 8 hours, $100 million, 50 jobs. I knew what the problem was. I'd seen it on the whiteboard in conference room 3. But I couldn't say anything, because what if I was wrong? What if my solution made things worse? I couldn't be responsible for that. Not again. I finished the 5th floor, moved to the 4th, then the 3rd. The building was almost empty now except for the war room on the 5th floor. The energy there was frantic, desperate. I tried to focus on my work. Vacuum the carpets, wipe down desks, empty trash. The same routine I'd done 1,000 times, but I couldn't stop thinking about that whiteboard, about the race condition, about how easy it would be to fix 4 lines of code. That's all it would take. But I couldn't. I couldn't risk it. At 2:30 a.m., I took my break, sat in the small janitorial closet on the 2nd floor where I kept my things, pulled out my phone. I had a text from the babysitter, Mrs. Watson, who stayed with Brittany at night while I worked. "Mrs. Watson, Brittany's sleeping. She asked when you'd be home." I told her 6:30 like always. "See you in the morning." I smiled, typed back a thank you. Brittany was the reason I did this, the reason I worked nights, the reason I'd walked away from engineering. Because she needed me, and I couldn't let her down the way I'd let Georgia down. I finished my break, went back to work. I was cleaning the executive floor, the 8th floor, when I heard footsteps, fast, heavy. A man rushed past me, one of the engineers from the war room. His face was pale, exhausted. "It's not working," he muttered to someone on his phone. "We've tried everything. Camilla's going to kill us." He disappeared into the elevator, I stood there, cleaning solution in one hand, cloth in the other. They were running out of time. I thought about Georgia, about what she would say if she were here. Sam, you're brilliant. Don't let fear make your decisions for you. But fear was all I had left. It was the only thing keeping me from making another mistake. I finished cleaning the 8th floor. Took the elevator down to the lobby. It was 5 a.m. My shift ended at 6 a.m. I had an hour left, but there was nothing more to do. The building was clean. I stood in the empty lobby, looked at the elevator. I could go home. Right now. Forget about the whiteboard. Forget about the $100 million problem. It wasn't my job. But then I thought about the 50 people who were about to lose their jobs. 50 families. 50 lives disrupted because a company failed. And I thought, what if I say nothing and they can't fix it? What if my silence is the thing that hurts people? Isn't that responsibility too? George's voice echoed in my mind. Fear is just a feeling, Sam. It doesn't have to be a decision. I pressed the button for the 5th floor. The war room was chaos. 30 engineers, maybe more, all looking like they hadn't slept in days. Laptops everywhere, monitors showing error logs. Someone was on a video call with what looked like a team in another time zone, and in the center of it all, Camilla Ferguson, pacing, phone pressed to her ear. Her expression was stone. I stood in the doorway, heart pounding, hands shaking. This was insane. I was a janitor. Why would anyone listen to me? But I couldn't walk away. Not this time. I stepped inside. Excuse me. No one looked up. Everyone was too focused, too exhausted. I cleared my throat. Louder. Excuse me, I know how to fix this. A few people glanced at me. Confusion, then dismissal. They went back to their screens. One engineer, tall, late 30s, wearing a hoodie that said Code Ninja, looked at me and laughed. Who the hell are you? I'm Samuel. I clean the offices at night, but The janitor? Another engineer asked. Younger, smirking. The janitor is going to teach us how to code? A few others laughed. Nervous, exhausted laughter. Look, man, Code Ninja said, not unkindly. We appreciate the enthusiasm, but this is a little above your pay grade. I know it looks bad, I said. My voice shook. But I've seen the whiteboard in conference room 3. I know what the problem is. I can fix it. Dude, we've been working on this for 72 hours. You think you figured it out by looking at a whiteboard? Yes. More laughter. Someone muttered, This is what happens when you don't sleep for 3 days. You start hallucinating about janitors. Then a voice cut through the room. Sharp, authoritative. Everyone shut up. Camilla Ferguson. She'd ended her phone call. Was staring at me. The room went silent. She walked toward me, stopped about 3 feet away, looked me up and down. Janitor uniform, cleaning cart still in the hallway behind me. What did you say? She asked. I said I know how to fix the problem. You're the janitor. Yes. And you think you can solve a problem that 30 of my best engineers can't solve? I swallowed hard. Yes. She studied me. Didn't laugh. Didn't dismiss me. Just studied. Then she said, You have 5 minutes. Code Ninja stepped forward. Camilla, we don't have time for... I said 5 minutes. She didn't take her eyes off me. If he's wasting our time, we lose 5 minutes and a janitor. If he's not, we save $100 million. I'll take those odds. She gestured toward a laptop on the table. Show me. My hands were shaking as I walked to the front of the room. 30 exhausted, skeptical engineers watched me. I picked up a marker, went to the large monitor displaying the system architecture. The problem is here, I said, pointing to a section of the code. In the transaction processing thread, you have 2 asynchronous functions trying to access the same resource, specifically the payment validation queue. But there's no mutex lock, so when both threads hit the queue simultaneously, one succeeds and one fails. The failure isn't being handled correctly, so it cascades. Code Ninja frowned. We checked that. We implemented retry logic. Retry logic doesn't fix a race condition. It just makes the system try the same broken process multiple times. I wrote 4 lines of code on the whiteboard. Add a mutex lock before accessing the shared resource. Atomic access. Release the lock when done. The race condition disappears. Silence. Camilla looked at Code Ninja. Can you implement that? He stared at the whiteboard, then at me, then back at the whiteboard. Yeah, that should work. That could actually... Do it now. Code Ninja sat down, started typing. Fast. The room held its breath. 2 minutes later, he hit enter. Deploying to test environment. Everyone watched the monitor. Error log scrolling. System processes running. Then, green. Across the board. Every process. No errors. Run a full transaction test, Camilla said. Code Ninja typed. Hit enter. The system processed 1,000 simulated transactions in 3 seconds. No failures. No cascade errors. Perfect. The room exploded, not in cheers, in stunned, exhausted silence. The kind of silence that comes when you've been fighting something for 3 days and suddenly it's just over. Camilla turned to me. Who are you? Samuel Carter. I clean the offices at night. That's not what I'm asking. I took a breath. I graduated from MIT with a degree in computer science. I worked as a senior software engineer for DataCorp for 8 years. Before that, I worked at 2 startups. I've been writing code since I was 12. The room was staring at me now, not with laughter, with shock. So why? Camilla said slowly. Are you a janitor? I didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Not here. Not in front of 30 people. Camilla seemed to understand. Jake, she said to Code Ninja. Finalize the fix. Deploy to production. I want full system tests running in 30 minutes. On it. Camilla looked at me. Come with me. Camilla's office was on the 8th floor, corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The sun was starting to rise, orange light cutting through the buildings. She closed the door behind us, gestured to a chair. Sit. I sat. She stayed standing, leaning against her desk, arms crossed. You just saved this company, she said, in 30 seconds. You saw a problem that 30 engineers with advanced degrees couldn't solve in 72 hours. So I'm going to ask you again. Why are you a janitor? I looked at my hands. It's complicated. I have time now. You gave me that. I thought about walking out, about saying it was none of her business, about protecting the wall I'd built around myself for 3 years. But she'd given me 5 minutes when no one else would. She'd listened when everyone else laughed. I owed her the truth. 3 years ago, I said quietly, I was driving home with my wife and daughter. I paused, the memory still sharp, still cutting. Another driver ran a red light, hit us on the passenger side. He was drunk, going 70 in a 35. Camilla didn't say anything, just listened. My wife, Georgia, was in the passenger seat. She died on impact. My daughter, Brittany, was in the back. She survived, not a scratch. I had a concussion, fractured ribs, but the physical damage wasn't the worst part. I looked up at Camilla. I was driving. I should have seen him coming, should have reacted faster, should have done something, but I didn't. And Georgia died because I wasn't good enough. That's not... I know what you're going to say, that it wasn't my fault, that the other driver was drunk, that there was nothing I could have done. Everyone said that. My therapist, my family, my friends. But it doesn't change the fact that I was responsible. I was behind the wheel, and I failed. Camilla was quiet. After that, I couldn't go back to engineering. Every line of code I wrote felt like life or death. Every decision felt like I was gambling with someone's safety. What if my code fails? What if there's a bug I miss and a system crashes? What if someone gets hurt because of a mistake I made? My voice cracked. I couldn't carry that responsibility. So I quit, and I found a job where nobody's life depends on me. I became invisible. I work nights. I clean offices. I don't make decisions that affect people, and I'm there for Brittany. I work 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. I'm home when she wakes up. I take her to school. I'm the dad she needs. That's all that matters. Camilla walked to the window, looked out at the sunrise. Sam, do you know how many people would have lost their jobs if you hadn't spoken up tonight? That's why 50 people, 50 families. You were scared your code might hurt someone, but your silence would have destroyed 50 lives. You think that's less responsibility? I didn't answer. She turned to face me. You didn't fail 3 years ago, Sam. You were in an accident. An accident that wasn't your fault. A drunk driver made a choice to get behind the wheel. That's on him, not you. But I was driving. And tonight, you saved 50 families by being brave enough to speak up when it mattered. You think you've been hiding from responsibility for 3 years, but you've just been afraid of the wrong thing. She walked back to her desk, sat down, looked at me directly. I want to offer you a job, Sam. Senior software engineer. $180,000 a year. Remote work. Flexible hours. You work when Brittany's at school. You're home when she gets home. The only requirement is that you deliver results. I stared at her. You... what? You heard me. You just saved $100 million in 30 seconds. You think I'm going to let you clean floors when you should be building the future of this company? But I haven't written real code in 3 years. I'm out of practice. You solved a problem tonight that stumped 30 of my best engineers. I don't care if you're out of practice. You're brilliant. And brilliance doesn't disappear just because you're afraid or rusty. I don't know if I can... Sam. She leaned forward. You're not responsible for that accident. You're not responsible for your wife's death. But you are responsible for what you do next. You can go back to cleaning floors and pretend you're keeping everyone safe. Or you can use your gifts to help people other way. Your choice. I sat there, stunned, overwhelmed. $180,000. Remote work. Home with Brittany. But more than that. A chance to be who I used to be. Who Georgia always believed I could be. Can I think about it? I asked. You have until Monday. But Sam? She stood, extended her hand. Thank you for not staying silent. You saved this company, and you saved 50 families. That matters. I shook her hand, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt something I thought I'd lost forever. Purpose. I got home 16 minutes late. Brittany was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with Mrs. Watson, eating cereal. Daddy! She jumped up, ran to me. I scooped her up. Hey, sweetheart, sorry I'm late. It's okay. Mrs. Watson made me Cheerios.
I smiled at Mrs. Watson. Thank you. Of course. See you on Monday, Mr. Carter. Bye-bye, Bree. She left. Brittany climbed back into her chair. I sat next to her. How was work? She asked. I thought about the war room, about Camilla, about the offer. It was good, Bug. Really good. Did you clean lots of offices? I did, but I also helped some people with a big problem. Like a superhero? I laughed. Not quite, but maybe a little. She smiled, went back to her cereal.
I watched her. This little girl who'd survived a crash that killed her mother, who'd grown up with a father too broken to be what he used to be. But maybe I could be both now. The brilliant engineer and the present father. Maybe Georgia had been right all along. Fear didn't have to be a decision. On Monday morning, I called Camilla's office. Her assistant put me through immediately. Sam, have you made a decision? Yes, I'll take the job. I could hear the smile in her voice. Good. HR will send you paperwork today. You start next Monday. Welcome to NovaCore, Sam. Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank me by being brilliant. That's all I ask. Later in the morning, Camilla called an emergency all-hands meeting, the entire company. Over 50 people packed into the main conference hall. I sat in the back. Camilla stood at the front, microphone in hand. Good morning. I know you're all wondering why I called this meeting. So I'll get straight to the point. Last Thursday night, this company was 8 hours away from losing its largest contract. $100 million, 50 jobs. Our reputation. The room was silent. 30 of our best engineers worked for 72 hours trying to solve the problem. They couldn't. But someone else did, in 30 seconds. Murmurs, confusion. That person is in this room, and starting today, he's joining our engineering team as a senior software engineer. She scanned the crowd. Found me. Sam, can you stand up? My heart stopped. Every eye in the room turned toward me. I stood. Slowly. This is Samuel Carter, Camilla said. Most of you know him as the janitor who works nights, but Sam is also an MIT graduate with years of experience as a senior engineer. 3 years ago, he walked away from that career for personal reasons. Last Friday, he walked back into it. And he saved this company. The room erupted. Not in applause, in shock. Whispers. Confusion. I saw Code Ninja, Jake, in the front row. He was staring at me, not with mockery, with respect. Camilla held up her hand. Silence. Some of you might think it's strange that I'm hiring someone who's been cleaning our floors for 3 years. Some of you might think he doesn't belong here. She paused. Let that sink in. But here's what I think. I think talent doesn't come with a title. I think brilliance doesn't disappear just because someone makes a different choice. And I think the smartest person in the room is often the one we never bother to notice. She looked directly at a few engineers in the front row, the ones who'd laughed Thursday night. Sam solved in 30 seconds what 30 of you couldn't solve in 72 hours. If that bothers you, if you think he doesn't deserve to be here, then maybe you're in the wrong room. Silence. Profound. Uncomfortable. Then from the front row Jake stood. Started clapping. Slowly, others joined. Then more. Until the entire room was applauding. I stood there, overwhelmed. Grateful. But for the first time in 3 years, I wasn't afraid. 6 months later, I sat at my desk in my home office, laptop open, 3 monitors displaying code. Brittany was in the living room watching cartoons. It was 2:47 p.m. I'd been working since 9 a.m. Stopped at noon to have lunch with Brittany. Would stop again at 3 to help with homework. This was my life now. Remote work, flexible hours. Present father. Brilliant engineer. Everything Georgia had always believed I could be. My phone buzzed. Text from Camilla. Camilla, client presentation went great. They loved your solution. Well done, Sam. Me. Thanks. Happy to help. Camilla, you're not just helping. You're transforming this company. Proud to have you on the team. I smiled, set my phone down. On my desk, next to my keyboard, was a framed photo. Georgia. Brittany. Me. Taken 2 months before the accident. We were at the beach. Smiling. Whole. I looked at Georgia's face. I finally did it, I said quietly. I'm both. The brilliant engineer and the good father. Just like you always said I could be. Brittany called from the living room. Daddy, can we have mac and cheese for dinner? Absolutely, Bug. I closed my laptop, stood up, walked into the living room. Brittany was on the couch, surrounded by stuffed animals, hair in a messy ponytail. I sat next to her. She leaned against me. I put my arm around her. Camilla had been right. Fear didn't have to be a decision. And responsibility wasn't something to run from. It was something to embrace. 1 year later, Brittany's school was having a career day. Parents came to talk about their jobs. I stood in front of 25 second graders. Brittany sat in the front row, beaming. My name is Mr. Carter, I said, and I'm a software engineer. Does anyone know what that means? A boy raised his hand. You fix computers? Sort of. I write code. Instructions that tell computers what to do. I solve problems. What kind of problems? A girl asked. Big ones. Problems that affect a lot of people. Problems that seem impossible. But you know what I learned? They waited. I learned that even when something seems impossible, even when you're scared, you can still do it. You just have to be brave enough to try. Oh, have you ever walked away from something you were great at because you were afraid? Or watched someone waste their potential because of fear? Share your story in the comments below. If this story about second chances, finding courage when it matters most, and how one moment can change everything touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful true stories every day. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss our next inspiring tale. Thanks for watching.